Far from the busy trade routes of the galaxy, a dead star system drifted in silence. No colonies, no stations, no signals, just broken asteroids and frozen planets slowly circling a cold, fading star. Most ships never came close to the system. Even the bravest explorers avoided it. Ancient alien maps marked the region with warning symbols and strange notes. Dangerous. Cursed. Do not approach. No one remembered exactly when the warnings first appeared, but everyone knew the story. Long ago, during a brutal war between two ancient alien empires, a massive warship had been destroyed in the system. Not just any ship, a colossal warship, a vessel so large that smaller ships could dock inside it, like insects hiding inside a giant shell. The warship had once been the pride of an empire. It carried weapons capable of destroying fleets. Its engines could cross entire sectors of space in days, but during the final battle of that forgotten war, something went wrong. The ship was heavily damaged. Its reactors exploded. Its command systems failed, and the enormous warship drifted helplessly into the empty system. The war ended soon after. The empire that doped the ship collapsed, and the broken vessel was left behind, floating in silence. For centuries, the ship remained there, a giant corpse drifting in deep space. At first, many alien civilizations tried to explore it. Salvage fleets arrived hoping to claim the advanced technology inside the wreck. The ship was filled with weapons, reactors, computers, and experimental systems far beyond the technology of most modern species. It was a treasure waiting to be claimed. But something always went wrong. Some ships reported strange energy surges coming from the wreck. Others experienced sudden power failures when they got too close. Several salvage vessels simply disappeared without sending any message. One explorer reported seeing lights flicker inside the dead ship. Another claimed the broken engines briefly activated for a few seconds. The reports frightened many civilizations. Eventually, the galaxy made a quiet decision. The wreck was too dangerous, too unstable, too mysterious, too unstable, too mysterious. They stopped trying to claim it, and over time the system slowly faded from memory. Trade routes changed, maps were updated, new empires rose and fell. The broken warship became nothing more than an old story told in starport bars, a ghost drifting in space. But centuries later, something unexpected happened. A small human exploration ship entered the system. The vessel was part of a long-range survey mission from Earth. Humanity had only recently joined the galactic community. Compared to older civilizations, humans were still considered young. Their technology was improving quickly, but they were still learning about the galaxy. Many alien leaders describe humans using the same three words: young, curious, reckless. And sometimes those three traits created trouble. The human ship, called Pathfinder, was scanning nearby systems for resources and safe navigation routes. When their sensors first detected the ancient warship, the crew believed it was a mistake. The signal was too large, too powerful. The ship's captain ordered the scanners to run again and again. Each time, the result was the same. Something enormous was drifting in orbit around one of the frozen planets. The crew slowly moved closer. As the massive object appeared on their screens, silence filled the control room. The alien warship was far larger than any human vessel ever built. Its structure stretched for kilometers. Huge weapon towers were mounted along its surface. The hull was covered with strange alien markings and broken armor plates. Sections of the ship were cracked open, exposing dark corridors inside. Even damaged, the vessel looked terrifying. The crew stared at the screens in disbelief. No human shipyard had ever created something like this. The captain knew the stories about this system. Every explorer had heard them. The cursed wreck, the dangerous ghost ship. Most alien species would have turned their ships around immediately, but humans were different. Curiosity was part of their nature. Instead of leaving the system, the captain made a different decision. He ordered a full scan of the vessel. The sensors revealed something surprising. Parts of the ship were still holding small amounts of energy. Ancient reactors were slowly leaking power. Several internal systems were still intact. The wreck was damaged, but it was not completely dead. The discovery shocked the entire crew. This was not just an abandoned ship. It was a forgotten alien superweapon. The captain knew this discovery was too important to keep secret. He opened a secure communication channel and sent a message back to Earth. The message was very short, only one sentence. "We found something incredible." The transmission traveled across the stars, back to human space. Within weeks, scientists, engineers, and military leaders on Earth studied the report carefully. The decision came quickly. If the alien civilizations had abandoned the warship, humanity would not. Within months, the first human engineering ships arrived in the dead star system. Massive repair vessels followed. Construction platforms were built around the wreck. Human crews slowly entered the ancient warship. They began studying every hallway, every reactor, every piece of alien technology. The galaxy did not pay much attention at first. Most species believed humans were wasting their time. The wreck was unstable, impossible to repair. But years passed, then decades, and slowly, something changed. Lights began appearing inside the ancient ship. Power signals increased. Old systems started waking up. Because the broken alien warship was no longer abandoned, humanity had claimed it, and they were only beginning to rebuild it. The dead star system was no longer silent. Human ships now moved slowly between the broken asteroids and frozen planets. Construction platforms floated around the ancient alien warship like tiny insects surrounding a sleeping giant. From far away, the wreck still looked the same, a broken monster drifting in darkness. But up close, everything had changed. Bright human work lights covered the damaged hull. Repair drones flew in long lines across the ship's surface. Large metal arms from construction platforms carefully removed destroyed armor plates and unstable reactor parts. Human engineers had begun the most ambitious project in their history. They called it Project Reforge. At first, many alien civilizations ignored the news. The galaxy had seen many salvage attempts before. Every single one had failed. The alien warship was simply too complex. Its technology came from an empire that had existed thousands of years earlier. Even advanced alien scientists struggled to understand the design, but humans approached the problem differently. They did not try to control the entire ship at once. Instead, they studied it slowly, patiently. Teams of human scientists spent years mapping the interior corridors. Every room was scanned and recorded. Every broken system was carefully examined. Many areas of the ship were dangerous. Some sections still held unstable energy. Old defense systems sometimes activated without warning. Strange alien machines powered on for a few seconds before dying again. Several human engineers were injured during the early exploration missions, but humans did not stop. Curiosity pushed them forward. Inside the ship, they discovered enormous hangars, large enough to store hundreds of fighters. There were weapon chambers the size of cities. Massive energy conduits ran through the structure like glowing rivers. But the most important discovery was hidden deep inside the center of the vessel, the main reactor. The alien power core was damaged, but it was not destroyed. Ancient containment rings still surrounded the reactor chamber. Emergency systems had shut down most of the energy flow before the ship was abandoned. The reactor still held power, a very small amount. But for human engineers, that was enough. For years they worked carefully around the reactor, repairing broken conduits and stabilizing dangerous power surges. New human-built safety systems were installed around the alien machinery. Slowly, carefully, they began reconnecting the ship's power grid. Then one quiet day, something incredible happened. The reactor stabilized. Energy flowed through the ship for the first time in centuries. Lights flickered on inside several corridors. Gravity returned in small sections of the vessel. Ancient computer systems began to wake up. Across the construction platforms outside the wreck, human engineers cheered. The dead giant had just taken its first breath. News of the event spread across the galaxy. Many alien governments were surprised. Some were impressed. Others were worried. The warship had been considered too dangerous to repair. Yet humanity had just restored its power. At first, the aliens believed the humans would stop there. Repairing the wreck was already an incredible achievement. But humans were not finished. Not even close. Once power returned, exploration teams moved deeper into the ship. More systems were activated. Old navigation computers came online. Internal defense turrets were carefully dismantled and studied. Several ancient weapon systems were discovered inside armored chambers. Most of them were badly damaged, but their designs were fascinating. Human scientists began copying parts of the technology. Soon, new research stations appeared in human space. Laboratories studied alien shield generators. Others examined the strange weapon designs. Instead of simply repairing the ship, humans began improving it. New armor plates made from advanced human alloys replaced damaged sections of the hull. Human-built reactors were connected to support the alien power core. Entire sections of the ship were redesigned. Years turned into decades. The project grew larger and larger. More human ships arrived. More engineers joined the effort. Slowly, the ancient alien warship began to change. Its original builders would barely recognize it anymore. Alien technology mixed with human engineering. Old weapon towers were replaced with new hybrid cannons. The engine chambers were rebuilt to hold far more powerful drives. And deep inside the ship's core, human scientists unlocked something extraordinary. A hidden experimental system, something the ancient alien empire had never finished building. The discovery changed everything, because the alien warship had not been just another military vessel. It had been a prototype, a test ship designed to carry experimental weapons far beyond the technology of its time. But the empire that created it had fallen before they could finish the project. For centuries, the unfinished weapon had slept inside the broken wreck. Now humans had found it. And unlike the ancient empire, humanity had no intention of leaving the project unfinished. Slowly, quietly, they began completing the design. The galaxy still believed humans were simply restoring a damaged ship. They did not understand what was really happening inside the dead system. Because humanity was no longer repairing a wreck. They were building something new, something the galaxy had never seen before. And when the ancient warship finally woke up completely, the galaxy would learn a terrifying truth. The abandoned alien weapon had found new builders, and humans were far more dangerous than the empire that created it. Years passed in the silent star system. From a distance, the ancient alien warship still looked like a broken wreck drifting through space, but anyone who moved closer would see something very different. Human stations surrounded the massive ship. Construction platforms floated around the hull. Repair drones moved across the surface like small glowing insects. The dead giant was slowly waking up. Inside the ship, human exploration teams continued moving deeper into the structure. Many parts of the vessel were still dark and unstable. Entire sections had collapsed during the ancient battle. Some corridors were blocked by melted metal and broken machinery. Other areas still contained dangerous alien defense systems that occasionally activated without warning. Because of this, exploration was slow and careful. Every hallway had to be scanned. Every room had to be tested. But the deeper humans explored, the more incredible discoveries they made. The alien warship was far more advanced than anyone had expected. Huge hangars stretched for kilometers inside the ship. These hangars once held hundreds of alien fighters. Massive cargo bays stored strange machines that human scientists had never seen before. And deep inside the central structure, the engineers discovered something even more important: the main command center. The room was enormous. Broken control panels covered the walls. Ancient alien symbols glowed faintly on damaged screens. Most of the systems were dead, but a few were still active. Human computer specialists carefully connected their own systems to the alien machines. For months, they studied the strange language and coding patterns used by the ship's computers. Slowly, they began to understand how the systems worked. The ship had not been an ordinary warship. It had been something far more ambitious. The alien empire that built it had planned to create the most powerful warship in their entire fleet. The ship was designed to carry experimental technology that had never been used before. But the most surprising discovery was hidden inside a sealed chamber near the ship's core. The chamber was protected by heavy alien security systems. It took human engineers nearly a year to safely open it. When the doors finally unlocked, the exploration team stepped inside carefully. What they found shocked them. The chamber held the remains of an unfinished weapon system. Huge power conduits connected the device to the ship's main reactor, but the weapon itself was incomplete. Half of the systems had never been installed. Large sections of the machine were empty. It looked as if the alien engineers had stopped construction suddenly. Human scientists studied the design for weeks. The more they analyzed the system, the more incredible it became. The unfinished weapon was not just another cannon. It was something far more powerful. According to the alien data they recovered, the weapon was designed to release enormous bursts of energy capable of destroying entire fleets in seconds. Some scientists even believed it could damage small moons. But the alien empire had never finished building it. The war that destroyed the ship had ended the project forever. Until now. The discovery created a huge debate among the human leaders working on the project. Some believed the weapon was too dangerous. They argued that humanity should focus only on repairing the ship's defensive systems. Others believed the discovery was too important to ignore. If the aliens had almost completed such a powerful weapon, then humans could finish it. In the end, the decision was made. The project would continue, but it would be done carefully. Human engineers began designing new systems to complete the alien weapon. Instead of copying the original design exactly, They improved it using modern human technology. New control systems were built. Better energy regulators were installed. Safety systems were added to prevent the dangerous power surges that had destroyed parts of the ship long ago. Years of work followed. Piece by piece, the unfinished weapons slowly took shape. Meanwhile, other teams continued improving the rest of the ship. The engine chambers were rebuilt using powerful human-built drives. New armor plating covered the damaged hull. Advanced shield generators were installed around the ship's main structure. Slowly, the ancient alien wreck transformed into something completely different. It was no longer just a repaired warship. It had become a hybrid vessel, part alien, part human, and far more powerful than either design alone. Outside the system, the rest of the galaxy watched with growing curiosity. Rumors spread through trade stations and alien capitals, stories about the massive human project hidden in the abandoned star system. Some governments sent spy drones to observe the work, but human patrol fleets guarded the area carefully. No unauthorized ships were allowed close to the construction. The secrecy made many alien leaders nervous. Why were humans investing so many resources into a single ship? What exactly were they building? No one outside the system knew the truth. Deep inside the ancient warship, human engineers were finishing the final systems. The reactors now produced more energy than the ship had ever generated before. The engines were ready. The shields were ready. And at the center of the vessel, the completed experimental weapon waited quietly. For centuries, the alien warship had been a silent ghost drifting in darkness. Now it was something very different. It was becoming the most powerful ship humanity had ever created, and the galaxy still had no idea what was coming next. For many years, the galaxy heard rumors about the strange human project, a massive alien warship, a dead system filled with human construction ships, a secret project hidden far from the main trade routes. But most alien civilizations believed the same thing. Humans were simply studying old alien technology. Maybe they were repairing the ship. Maybe they were using it as a research station. No one truly believed humans could restore such an ancient war machine. The ship was simply too old, too damaged, too complicated. But inside the silent system, something very different was happening. The rebuilding project was almost finished. Human engineers had spent decades studying, repairing, and redesigning the alien vessel. Entire sections of the ship had been rebuilt. Old alien armor was replaced with stronger human metal. Ancient computer systems were upgraded with modern artificial intelligence. New power conduits connected the reactor to every part of the ship. The vessel was no longer just an alien warship. It had become something completely new, a hybrid of alien and human technology. And now, it was ready for the final test. Deep inside the command center, dozens of human officers watched the control screens. The enormous room was once used by alien commanders. Now human control stations filled the space. Bright holographic displays floated above the floor. The main reactor pulsed with energy beneath the ship's core. The chief engineer looked at the captain and nodded. "All systems stable," she said. "Engines ready." The captain took a slow breath. For centuries, the alien warship had remained silent, broken, forgotten. Now humanity was about to wake it up. The captain gave the order. "Activate main engines." For a moment, nothing happened. Then deep inside the ship, enormous energy conduits lit up. The reactors roared to life. Power surged through the massive engine chambers. Outside the ship, construction crews quickly moved their vessels away from the hull. A warning signal spread across the entire system. Seconds later, the ancient engines ignited. A bright wave of blue light exploded from the back of the ship. For the first time in centuries, the giant moved. The enormous vessel slowly shifted its position in orbit. Asteroids nearby were pushed aside by the powerful engine thrust. Even the frozen planet below trembled slightly from the energy released. Inside the command center, the crew watched in amazement. The ship responded perfectly. Navigation systems activated. Stabilizers adjusted the ship's massive weight. The giant alien vessel was alive again. But the test was not finished. The captain turned toward the weapons officer. "Prepare primary systems." Across the ship, new weapon towers slowly rotated into position. Massive cannons extended from armored ports along the hull. Deep inside the core chamber, the experimental weapon began charging. Energy flowed from the reactor toward the enormous system. The power readings on the control screens continued to rise. Outside the system, something else happened. The activation of the ancient ship created a powerful energy signal. The signal spread through nearby star systems. Alien monitoring stations quickly detected the strange event. Several governments noticed the sudden burst of energy. At first, they believed it was a natural phenomenon, maybe a solar flare, maybe an asteroid collision. But when their scanners studied the signal more closely, they discovered something shocking. The signal came from the abandoned system, the one containing the ancient warship. Within hours, alien intelligence networks began investigating the event. Several empires sent observation ships to the edge of the system. They wanted to see what the humans were doing. When the first alien scout ship arrived, the crew could hardly believe their sensors. The massive alien warship was no longer drifting. It was moving. Bright engine trails burned behind the enormous vessel. Powerful shield fields surrounded the hull, and dozens of human escort ships flew beside it. The scout captain immediately sent an emergency report to his government. The message was simple. The humans have restored the ancient warship. Across the galaxy, leaders began to worry. For centuries, the wreck had been considered harmless. But now it was active again. No one knew how powerful the ship had become, and no one knew what humanity planned to do with it. Back inside the system, the test continued. The captain watched the final readings from the experimental weapon. The charge level was rising quickly. 30%, 50%, 70%. The chief engineer spoke quietly. The weapon is stable. Energy levels are within safe limits. The captain nodded slowly. The test target was a large asteroid floating several thousand kilometers away. The crew prepared to fire. Outside the ship, the enormous weapon system began glowing with intense energy. Light gathered along the massive barrel. The power level reached 100%. The weapons officer spoke. Primary system ready. The captain gave the order. Fire. A blinding beam of energy shot across space. The beam struck the asteroid a few seconds later. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the asteroid disappeared. Not cracked, not broken, gone. The rock had completely vaporized. Inside the command center, silence filled the room. Even the engineers were shocked. The weapon was far more powerful than expected. The captain slowly looked at the glowing screens. Humanity had not simply repaired the alien warship. They had created something far more dangerous. And soon, the rest of the galaxy would understand what that meant. News of the weapon test did not stay secret for long. The alien scout ship that witnessed the event had already sent its report across several star systems. Within days, the message reached the capitals of many powerful alien empires. At first, some leaders refused to believe it. A single ship destroying an asteroid that large in one shot sounded impossible, but the sensor recordings were clear. The ancient alien warship was no longer a drifting wreck, it was active, and it carried a weapon far stronger than anything the galaxy had seen in centuries. The discovery created fear. Several empires quickly began discussing the situation. Some believed the human project was dangerous. They argued that humanity should never have been allowed to rebuild such a powerful vessel. Others believed the reports were exaggerated, but one empire did not want to wait. The Varkalan Dominion had ruled its region of the galaxy for hundreds of years. Their fleets were powerful, and their leaders believed they had the right to control any dangerous technology. When they learned about the rebuilt warship, they made a decision. They would investigate the system themselves, and if necessary, they would take the ship. Within weeks, a large Varkalan fleet began moving toward the abandoned star system. Their ships were enormous battle cruisers armed with advanced weapons and powerful shields. Hundreds of smaller escort ships surrounded them. The fleet commander believed the mission would be simple. Humans were still a young civilization. Even if they had repaired the alien ship, they could not possibly control it well enough to challenge a full Varkalan fleet. Confident in their power, the Armada entered the outer edge of the system. Human patrol ships detected the fleet immediately. A warning message was sent toward the Varkalan commander. This system is under human protection. You are entering restricted space. The Varkalan commander laughed when he heard the message. He ordered his communication officer to reply. This warship belongs to the galaxy. You will stand down and allow us to inspect it. There was a short pause. Then a new message arrived from the human command ship. This vessel was abandoned for centuries. Humanity has claimed it legally. Leave the system now. The Varkalan commander did not like the answer. He believed humans were bluffing, so he gave another order. The fleet continued moving forward. Soon, the massive alien warship appeared on their sensors. Even from a great distance, the ship looked terrifying. The hull was covered in new armor plates. Huge weapon towers lined its surface. Bright energy fields surrounded the vessel like glowing shields. Human escort ships moved around it carefully. For the first time, The Varkalon commander felt a small moment of doubt, but he ignored it. He ordered his fleet to form attack positions. "Prepare weapons," he said. "If the humans refuse to cooperate, we will disable the ship and take control of it." Across the system, human command ships watched the approaching fleet carefully. Inside the giant warship's command center, the human captain studied the sensor readings. Hundreds of enemy ships, battle cruisers, destroyers, fighter carriers. The captain knew this moment had always been possible. Some alien empires would eventually try to take the ship. He turned toward the weapons officer. "Prepare all systems." Across the massive vessel, energy began flowing into the weapon networks. Shield generators expanded their protective fields. Heavy cannons rotated toward the incoming fleet. And deep inside the ship's core, the experimental weapon began charging again. Outside the ship, the Varkalon fleet continued advancing. Their commander opened one final communication channel. "This is your last warning," he said. "Surrender the vessel or we will take it by force." The human captain listened quietly, then he replied with a calm voice, "You should not have come here." The communication channel closed. Seconds later, the battle began. The Varkalon fleet fired first. Dozens of bright energy beams shot toward the giant warship. Explosions filled the space around the vessel, but the human shields held strong. The powerful alien weapons struck the barrier and scattered across the glowing field. Then the human ship responded. Several massive cannons fired at once. Bright beams of energy sliced through the dark space between the fleets. The first Varkalon cruiser exploded within seconds. Another ship lost its shields and drifted helplessly away. Panic began spreading across the alien formation. The human warship moved forward slowly. Its enormous engines pushed the giant vessel through the battlefield like a moving fortress. Human escort ships joined the fight, attacking smaller enemy vessels, but the battle was already decided. Inside the command center, the weapons officer spoke. "Primary weapon charged." The captain nodded. "Target the center of their formation." Moments later, the experimental weapon fired again. A massive beam of energy tore across space. 3 Varkalon battle cruisers vanished instantly. The rest of the fleet quickly began retreating. Within minutes, the once powerful armada had been destroyed or scattered. The battle ended faster than anyone expected. Inside the human command center, the crew watched the sensor screens. The system was quiet again. The captain spoke softly. "Send a message to the galaxy." The communication officer looked up. What should it say? The captain thought for a moment. Then he answered, "Tell them the abandoned ship is no longer abandoned. Humanity has rebuilt it, and we will defend it." The battle ended quickly, but its impact spread across the entire galaxy. Within hours, recordings of the fight reached dozens of alien governments. Sensor data from the destroyed Varkalon fleet was shared across intelligence networks. The message was clear. Humanity now controlled the most powerful warship ever seen. Across many alien worlds, leaders gathered in emergency meetings. Some were angry, some were frightened, others were simply shocked. For centuries, the ancient alien warship had been nothing more than a drifting wreck. Every empire had known about it. Every empire had decided it was too dangerous to touch. And now humans had done what no one else dared to do. They had rebuilt it. Even worse, they had improved it. The weapon recordings terrified many military analysts. The beam from the experimental cannon had erased entire warships in seconds. Not damaged, not disabled, erased. If the ship ever entered a major war, entire fleets could disappear before they even reached firing range. Many empires suddenly realized something uncomfortable. They had ignored humanity for too long. For years, humans had quietly worked in the dead system, building, repairing, experimenting. No one had taken the project seriously. Now it was too late. Inside the ancient system, the massive warship drifted peacefully once again. Human engineers were still working across the hull. Small repair drones replaced damaged armor from the battle. New defense platforms were already being built nearby. The system was becoming more than just a shipyard. It was turning into a fortress. Inside the command center, the human captain stood beside the large observation window. The stars outside looked calm, but he knew the galaxy was watching. The weapons officer walked toward him. "The last enemy ships have left the system," she reported. "Good," the captain said quietly. He looked at the enormous display screen showing the ship's systems. The vessel was operating perfectly. Reactor output was stable. Shield systems were stronger than ever. Weapon systems were fully charged. For the first time since the project began, the ship was truly complete. Behind him, several senior engineers entered the room. One of them smiled proudly. "Hard to believe this thing used to be a wreck. the engineer said. The captain nodded. When we first found it, everyone thought we were crazy. The engineer laughed. Maybe we were. He looked toward the giant screen showing the ship's structure. The vessel was enormous, more than 10 kilometers long. Its surface was covered with powerful weapons and thick armor. Human technology had merged with ancient alien systems in ways no one had ever imagined. The engineer crossed his arms. We should probably give it an official name. The captain turned toward him. You have something in mind? The engineer smiled. Yeah, the Reforged Titan. The name spread quickly across the command center. Several officers repeated it quietly. The Reforged Titan. It sounded powerful. Ancient. Unstoppable. The captain looked out at the stars again. Then that's what we'll call her. Register the ship under that name. Within hours, the announcement was transmitted across human space. The rebuilt alien warship now had an identity. The Reforged Titan, flagship of humanity. News of the name reached alien governments soon after. Many of them reacted with nervous silence. Others began changing their military plans. No empire wanted to fight a ship like that. And the most important lesson of all slowly became clear. For centuries, the galaxy believed the abandoned warship was too dangerous to touch. They had left it drifting alone in the darkness. But humans saw something different. They did not see a cursed wreck. They saw opportunity. Where others saw danger, humans saw potential. They studied the alien technology. They repaired it. Then, they improved it. Now, the most powerful warship in the galaxy belonged to humanity. Trade stations across the stars began telling the story. Pilots shared it during long journeys. Young cadets studied the battle in military academies. It became a lesson repeated again and again. If humans ever find something broken, they will fix it. If they find something unfinished, they will complete it. And if they discover a forgotten weapon drifting in space, they will turn it into something far more dangerous. Because the galaxy had made one very simple mistake. They had abandoned the ship. But humans never abandon possibilities, and somewhere in the quiet dead system, the Reforged Titan continued drifting through space, silent, powerful, waiting, a reminder to the entire galaxy that sometimes the most terrifying weapon is not the one an empire builds, but the one humanity rebuilds.